The International March of the Living in Auschwitz will include for the first time a private delegation from the United Arab Emirates. With us now to talk about this is His Excellency Ahmed Obaid Almansoori, the head of this delegation. Good evening to you, sir.
Evening, sir. How are you?
And also in Dubai, Mr. Eilon, Ambassador of March of the Living at the UAE. Good evening to you as well.
Thank you, Jacob.
Mr. Almansoori, please tell us about your connection to the Holocaust.
First of all, thank you very much for the interview. It's a very important opportunity to explain. My personal connection with the Holocaust, we have at the Crossroads Civilization Museum, which was established in 2012. We have the first museum in the Arab and Islamic world that presents Israeli and Jewish artifacts from the region, and with the photos of historical places of the Jews in the region historically in different MENA region. So we established last year, in the Yom of Hashwa last year, on April 8th, the first permanent Holocaust memorial gallery. And that contains, all of the factual evidence about the Holocaust, what happened, at the same time about different aspects of it. The second aspect about the hope, which is before that about the rights among nations, also presenting about the hope. So this gallery, we're educating people about the Holocaust who are non-Jews, non-Israelis. At the same, it's a memorial thing, but at the same time, it's opening the room for people to understand and learn about the Holocaust and the region that has been, different stories or denial about the Holocaust. So my connection is that, we are this mission to remember it and also not to happen again. This is what we are focusing on. And here we and Eilon, and me as a personal capacity, I'll be participating in this historical march. It's our duty to learn about more, and also how can we really educate this so such things will never happen to anyone.
Mm-hmm. So when you got the invitation to march on the March of the Living, it was only natural for you to take it and go, I understand.
It is a great opportunity. I'm very grateful for that and honored to be there. And also, to be with the survivors, and also to be with the people, who care about, the importance of make sure that, we do all of the efforts so this will not happen again. And that's why we need to understand, educate, and also to learn more about it. And this will also help us with the people from different religions, different nationalities who live here, and this is the culture of UAE. We have to have, when we talk about the peace, it's full peace. It's a political level, economic level. My side, I'm more involved in the cultural and historical and religious aspect, and the kinship aspect between the Jews and the Arabs, the Muslims and the Jewish people, because we have the same God. We are originally we are brothers before being cousins, and this is the right time really to explain about the Holocaust to the world and the best. And also, we're going to have an event in the museum on the eve of 27th of April for the Holocaust Memorial event in the Crossroads Civilization Museum. We're going to be linked by the Zoom with Poland, also, of course, with Israel and other countries. So we're going to have for the first time the link, for people can really participate and experience that live from Dubai in the UAE.
Right. Mr. Neshlos, you were assigned to the UAE on this as an ambassador. Tell us exactly what it is.
Will do. And first, I'd like to take the opportunity to state that not only is this opportune for His Excellency Almansoori to join us, but I believe this to be a truly historical moment. Ahmed is the founder of the first and only Holocaust exhibition in the Arab and Islamic world. He is symbolic of coexistence and of tolerance. And this is the warm peace between Israel and the Emirates. And this is the new Middle East. By way of background, Nashlos Foundation was founded in memory of my late grandmother, who survived the Holocaust, thanks to the Chodasevich family, righteous amongst the nation. And this inspired me to build bridges between the Arab world and Israel. And to that end, I am privileged to have been able to accept an appointment as ambassador to March of the Living in Dubai and by extension to the Gulf region in pursuit of our mission, never forget and fighting all forms of anti-Semitism and bigotry.
This is definitely a very interesting first. Do you expect, Mr. Nashlos, to have more participants in the future, maybe?
Absolutely. We learned something very interesting recently at the Jerusalem Post conference, where I had the honor of sponsoring a panel. And at that panel was a Holocaust survivor, a descendant of a Holocaust survivor being myself, descendant of Righteous Amongst the Nations, and another first, a descendant of a Nazi, whose grandfather was a member of Hitler's SS elite units. And there, she looked into the eyes of a Holocaust survivor and said, "I'm sorry." And Jacob, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. And at that very moment, I understood the impact of reconciliation and the readiness of reconciliation driven by my third generation and the leadership that's required there. And by extension, on the back of the Abrahamic Accords, it is incumbent on my generation to inherit, adopt, and pursue peace. And so now we're adding reconciliation and peace. We will march this year at Auschwitz, descendants of Holocaust survivors with Holocaust survivors, Righteous Amongst the Nations, descendants of Germans, and now with our Emirati brothers. And my mission will be to identify young leaders that are willing to inherit the Abrahamic Accords and to bring them to the March of the Living and to grow as we move forward.
So let me ask you, His Excellency Almansoori, do you see in the future more people coming and participating and opening up in the Arab world to the Jewish Holocaust?
Of course. As you can see, like when we started last year, the Holocaust Memorial Gallery in the United Arab Emirates at the museum, it was only one gallery and one event. We made 3 events. And for the International Day of the Holocaust, the memorial, we had 3 different events in the country, minimum. And also another country, Arab country, also joined for the first time at the memorial event for the Holocaust and the International Day. So usually when we start here, as you know, my brother Eilon was talking about, the Abrahamic Accord. It is the catalyst project for spearheading peace and development and encouraging stability in the region. The UAE as a small country, but very, very important country in development in the Arab and Islamic world, leads such initiatives and, hoping for the best of the region for all of us. So I'm sure next year more people will participate because people have to learn to separate between, this is historical, this is something, happened, a terrible thing happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're losing connection with Mr. Almansoori, but I want to ask you, we have about a minute, Mr. Nashlos. What is, you want to maybe finish your sentence, Almansoori, Mr. Almansoori, you can now.
Yeah. So and this is in the UAE. With this speech, we are trying to. People have to learn more about the Holocaust to know it is a historical thing, a historical crime. And under the verse of the Quran, which we have in the Mishnah, who saves one life saves the whole world. This is our motto in the Holocaust gallery, and also the leading thing is we have to remember it and never to happen again.